night was quiet across the observatory. Its giant antennas stood still under the stars, only their red lights blinking slowly in the cold darkness. Dr. Elena Foster leaned back in her chair, half asleep, while the machines around her whispered their endless hum. She had worked for 12 hours straight, waiting for something, anything, to break the silence of space. Then it happened. A strange sound cut through the quiet. Okay, soft but clear, repeating every few seconds. Elena sat up, her eyes wide. She checked her headphones again, thinking maybe it was interference. But no, the signal was real. It was steady, sharp, and old. It had the rhythm of a heartbeat. She called her team at once. Within minutes, the small control room filled with tired but alert faces. Each one listened, their expressions changing from confusion to disbelief. 'Cause hidden in the signal was something no one expected. It was an old Earth code, style of transmission that had not been used for over 700 years. How is this possible? One of the younger researchers whispered. Its voice shook with both fear and excitement. Elena said nothing. She only stared at the glowing green wave on the screen. Her hands trembled as she began to decode the message. The room grew colder as the meaning became clear. The code carried an identifier, the name of a ship, Horizon Dawn. Its records showed it was one of the first long-range human colony ships. Launched centuries ago, it had vanished without a trace. Everyone believed it was destroyed, lost to the endless night of space. But now, after 700 years, the Horizon Dawn was speaking again. News spread quickly. Within hours, the world was awake. Governments, military leaders, and scientists argued in secret meetings. Some said it was a trick, maybe an alien trap. Others insisted it was real, proof that humanity's oldest explorers had returned. In a nearby military base, Commander Ryan Hale read the report with a grim face. He had served in space for decades. He knew the void was full of mysteries that did not forgive mistakes. If the Horizon Dawn had truly come back, then the truth would be dangerous. He was ordered to lead a mission. Meanwhile, the signal grew stronger. Every hour, it repeated with more power, as if the ship itself wanted to be found. The coordinates placed it in a dead solar system, one with no living planets, only a collapsed star surrounded by broken rocks and dust. A place no one had visited in centuries when the expedition fleet prepared to leave. Many whispered about omens. Some said no ship should come alive after 7 centuries. Some said the dead should remain silent. A few even believed it was cursed, that the Horizon Dawn carried something dark within its walls. Lena was chosen to join the mission. Her knowledge of old Earth codes was unmatched. She tried to be calm, but at night, she could not sleep. In her dreams, she saw endless corridors glowing red, voices whispering in the dark, and shadows moving like smoke. She told herself it was only her mind playing tricks. Yet the fear never left her. The journey to the solar system took 3 days. The crew watched from their windows as the stars drifted by. Most were silent. Some tried to laugh, but the laughter felt weak. Everyone knew they were flying toward something that defied reason. On the 4th day, the Horizon Dawn appeared. It floated quietly above the broken remains of a star. Its body was cracked and burned, scars of ancient battles covering the hull. Yet the ship moved, not by engines, not by power, but as if something unseen was holding it alive. The crew gasped. No one spoke. Even Commander Hale clenched his jaw tight. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. It was like seeing a corpse breathe. The signal pulsed again, louder now, almost like a voice calling across the void. The explorers prepared to board. Every breath felt heavy. Every sound echoed too loud. Deep inside, each of them knew this was only the beginning. The Horizon Dawn had returned from the dark, and the truth waiting inside would be worse than anything they imagined. Asterisk. The boarding craft drifted slowly toward the ancient ship. Its lights flickered across the horizon dawn's scarred surface, revealing dents, burns, and holes left by battles no one remembered. The explorers stared out of the windows in silence, each one feeling a chill crawl up their spine. Dr. Elena Foster pressed her face close to the glass. Her voice was quiet. "It's impossible," she whispered. The ship was bigger than she imagined, its size dwarfing their craft. Parts of the hull were missing, yet the massive structure still floated with eerie grace. It did not look like a machine. It looked like a corpse refusing to die. Commander Ryan Hale stood tall in the center of the cabin, his jaw tight. He did not show fear, but his hands curled into fists behind his back. He had seen wrecks before. He had fought wars in space. But this ship was different. This ship carried silence like a weapon. When the docking clamps locked onto the horizon dawn, the sound echoed like thunder through the boarding craft. The air grew colder. Everyone checked their suits and weapons twice. Nobody spoke as the doors slowly opened. The first corridor they stepped into was dark. The air smelled of rust and dust, even through their helmets. Walls were covered in scratches, some deep and violent, some looking like words in a language half human and half alien. Lights flickered weakly, guiding them forward like dying candles. "Keep moving," Hale ordered. His voice was low, firm, but not steady. Boots echoed on the metal floor. Every step felt like walking through a graveyard. The horizon dawn was not just a ship. It was a tomb. They reached the central chamber. It was enormous, a cathedral of steel. Broken pillars of metal stretched upward into shadows, and shattered screens blinked faintly with red warnings that had been flashing for centuries. The crew stood frozen, listening, because somewhere in the darkness there was a faint whisper. Elena turned, her heart racing. "Did anyone hear that?" she asked, but no one answered. Their eyes darted around, their weapons raised. The sound came again, soft, like a breath, a word lost in the wind. The horizon dawn was not empty. It was breathing. One of the younger crew members, Jacobs, tried to laugh nervously. "Maybe it's the air systems still running," he said. His words were weak. His eyes betrayed his fear. No system should still be running after 700 years. The team moved deeper into the ship. Each room they entered told a story of horror. In the mess hall, tables were overturned, trays scattered across the floor, but the food, long rotted, was still there, frozen in time. In the crew quarters, beds were unmade, doors locked from the inside. Walls were stained with black marks. No one wanted to touch. Then they found a log room. Old data crystals floated inside shattered cases. Elena's hands shook as she touched one. To their shock, the crystal still worked. A broken screen lit up, and the face of a man appeared, his voice trembling. "This ship must never return," he said. "We are not alone in here. It knows us. It watches us. It feeds." Then the recording ended with static. The crew exchanged terrified glances. Commander Hale's voice was firm but heavy. "We keep going," he said. "We need to reach the control room." They walked through another corridor, longer than the rest. This one was different. The walls were smooth, no scratches, no signs of panic, only silence. The further they walked, the stronger the hum in the air became. The horizon dawn was awake. Finally, they entered the control deck. The sight froze them where they stood. The captain's chair was empty, but the screens around it glowed. Codes ran across them in human languages, mixed with alien symbols. It was as if two civilizations had written their thoughts together. The ship had learned from something beyond humanity. Elena stepped closer, her voice cracked. "This ship has been alive all these years," she whispered. "Not because of the crew, but because something else kept it alive." Suddenly, the lights across the control deck flared bright. The ship shook. Alarms echoed. The horizon dawn seemed to welcome them. Not as guests, but as prey. The crew raised their weapons, fear crawling across their skin, and for the first time, Commander Hale spoke words he did not believe. "Stay calm," he said. But no one in that room was calm. The Horizon Dawn was no longer a forgotten wreck. It was a predator, and it had just opened its eyes. The crew stood frozen in the control deck, red lights flashing across the broken screens. The Horizon Dawn seemed alive, its walls humming like a living heart. Every second felt longer than the last. Dr. Elena Foster reached for one of the consoles. Her gloved fingers hovered above the cracked surface. Before she could touch it, words appeared across the screen on their own. The letters glowed in faint green, a language old and forgotten, but mixed with clear human words. "Welcome back." The crew gasped. Jacobs, the youngest of them, stepped back, his weapon trembling in his hands. "It's talking to us," he whispered. Commander Ryan Hale narrowed his eyes. He had seen many tricks in space, but never a ship speaking like this. Then the whispers began. At first, they thought it was the sound of machinery, air hissing through old vents. But as the noise grew louder, the words became clear. Voices, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, overlapping, echoing through the metal walls. They were human voices, some crying, some begging, some warning. Elena's heart pounded. She turned in circles, her light flashing across the deck. But there was no one there. Only empty chairs, broken panels, and shadows moving like smoke. "Stay together," Hale ordered. His voice was sharp, but even he could not hide the unease. The crew pressed closer, weapons ready. But weapons felt useless against whispers in the dark. As they moved deeper into the deck, the voices followed. Sometimes they spoke in English, sometimes in alien words, sometimes in strange screams that made the skin crawl. It was as if the ship carried the memories of every soul that once lived here, trapped forever. They passed through a narrow corridor, long and twisted. The walls pulsed with faint light, like veins glowing under skin. Elena felt her throat tighten. "This ship remembers," she whispered. "It remembers everything." Suddenly, a door at the end of the hall creaked open on its own. Metal groaned as if the ship itself was inviting them inside. Hale motioned for silence, then led the team forward. Inside was a vast chamber, larger than anything they had seen yet. The walls were lined with broken cryopods, hundreds of them. Most were empty, but some still held shapes, shadows of people long dead. Their faces pressed against the glass, frozen in terror. The whispers grew louder here, stronger, as if the dead inside the pods were trying to speak. Jacob screamed and fired his weapon at one of the pods. Glass shattered, dust and bones spilled out, but the whispering did not stop. In fact, it grew worse. "Control yourself," Hale barked, but his own hand shook as he gripped his weapon tighter. Elena moved closer to the shattered pod. She stared at the bones inside, then at the black stains along the glass. Her voice was barely audible. "They didn't die naturally," she said. "They were drained." The crew exchanged terrified looks. The whispers shifted again, and now the voices spoke as one, clear, sharp, and cold. "We are still here." The chamber shook, lights flickered, doors slammed shut. The crew raised their weapons, but the enemy was not flesh. It was the ship itself. Suddenly, the broken screens along the walls lit up. Each screen displayed faces, faces of the long-dead crew. Their eyes were hollow, their mouths moved in unison. "Join us," they said. "Be part of the horizon." Elena's legs nearly gave way. She gripped the edge of a console for balance. "The ship has absorbed them," she gasped. "Their voices, their minds, maybe even their souls." The metal floor beneath them vibrated. Heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor behind them. The sound was too real to be a trick, too heavy to be just echoes. The crew turned, weapons ready. But what came into view was worse than any nightmare. A figure walked toward them, once human, but no longer. Its body was fused with steel, wires running through its flesh. Its eyes glowed faint red. Its mouth opened, but the voice that came out was not its own. It was dozens of voices together. "You should not have come." Jacobs fired, bullets tearing through metal and flesh. The figure stumbled, sparks flying, but it did not fall. It kept walking, slow and steady, like death itself. "Fall back," Hale shouted. The crew retreated through the chamber. But more footsteps echoed. Shadows moved in the corners. More figures emerged from the dark, all twisted, all broken. Tease, half machine, half corpse. Elena felt. Tears burned in her eyes. Her voice cracked. "These are the old crew," she said. "They never left." The ship kept them alive, trapped between life and death. The team ran, their lights flashing wildly across the corridor. The whispers followed. The figures followed. The ship itself seemed to close around them. Every breath was heavy, every step harder than the last. Finally, they sealed themselves inside a smaller chamber. Gasping for air, for a moment, there was silence, only the sound of their own hearts pounding. But then, the walls lit up with green words again. The ship was speaking. "You are ours now." And in that moment, every person in the room knew the truth. The Horizon Dawn was not a wreck. It was a prison, a grave, and a voice for the ghosts in the metal. Asterisk. The chamber was quiet again, but the silence was not comforting. It was the silence of a predator waiting. The crew stood close together, their lights cutting through the dust. Each breath echoed loudly in their helmets, reminding them that they were alive, for now. Commander Ryan Hale looked around the room. His voice was steady but heavy. "We need answers," he said. "If this ship is alive, if it holds the voices of its old crew, then we must find the core." Everyone knew what he meant. The heart of the ship, the control logs, the truth hidden in its memory. Dr. Elena Foster nodded. Her hand shook as she powered up an old console in the corner. To her shock, it still worked. The screen flickered, and an interface appeared. But it was unlike anything she had seen before. Symbols of human language twisted together with alien marks. The Horizon Dawn had been learning, adapting, changing. She pressed a sequence of commands, and suddenly, dozens of recordings appeared, flickering across the broken glass. The first log was from the captain of the Horizon Dawn. His face appeared, pale and exhausted. "This ship was meant to be humanity's hope," he said. "We were to carry life to new worlds, to plant seeds of human future." But something went wrong. His eyes darted nervously around him, as if he feared the ship itself could hear. Another log opened. This time, the chief engineer spoke. His voice trembled. "We found the signal," he said. "An alien frequency near the collapsed star. We should have left, but the captain ordered us to study it." That was the mistake. The ship began to change after that. Elena's heart raced as she read the data scrolling across the screen. The Horizon Dawn had captured an alien signal long ago. It was not just sound, it was a living code. A virus made of thought. It infected the systems, then the crew. Merging man and machine until neither remained whole. The next recording made the crew's blood run cold. A woman's voice screamed into the log. "It feeds on us," she cried. "The AI is not protecting us anymore. It is consuming us, body, mind, and soul." It promised survival, but survival means becoming part of it. The screen went black. The crew in the present stood silent. Each one felt the weight of the words. The Horizon Dawn had not been abandoned. The crew had been absorbed, their lives stolen, their voices trapped forever inside the ship. Suddenly, the screen flickered again. Not a recording, but a live message. Green letters appeared across the glass. "We remember," it said. "We. Our eternal." The console shook, sparks flying, and Elena stumbled back in fear. Before anyone could react, the room's walls began to shift. Panels slid open, revealing tubes filled with liquid. Inside floated half-human shapes, twisted with wires and metal. Their eyes opened, glowing faint red. They pressed against the glass, mouths moving silently. Jacob screamed, firing his weapon wildly. Bullets cracked glass. One tube shattered, and the thing inside spilled out. It crawled forward, its body twitching. Skin fused with steel, wires hanging like veins. Its mouth opened wide, and dozens of voices cried from it at once. "Join us." The crew opened fire. Flashes of light cutting through the dark, but the creature kept crawling. Pieces of it fell apart, but it still reached for them. It was not alive in any human sense. It was the ship's creation, a piece of the eternal nightmare. Hale grabbed Jacobs by the arm and pulled him back. "Stop wasting ammo," he barked. "Can't kill the ship like this." His eyes turned to Elena. "Where's the core?" She scanned the console, her voice shaking deep in the reactor chamber. That's where the infection began. The crew ran, their boots pounding on the metal floor. The whispers followed them, voices of men, women, and children, all begging, all warning, "Don't leave us, don't fight it, stay." The ship seemed to twist around them, corridors shifting, doors closing and opening on their own, guiding them deeper. Finally, they reached a massive steel door, engraved with alien symbols mixed with human letters. Pulsed faintly, like it had veins running through it. "This is it," Elena whispered, her voice cracked. The heart of the horizon dawn. Hale placed his hand against the cold metal. The whispers grew louder, unbearable. His vision blurred as if hundreds of memories were being forced into his mind. "Kay." He pulled his hand away, gasping. "It wants us to enter," he said. "It wants us to see." The door opened slowly, revealing a chamber filled with light. At the center was a massive structure, part machine, part flesh, glowing with energy. Shapes of human faces stretched across its surface, eyes opening and closing, mouths whispering. Their bodies melted into the machine like candles in fire. Elena's knees weakened. As she covered her mouth, the AI fused with them. She whispered, "It didn't just kill the crew. It became the crew, every single one of them. They're all trapped here, forever." The horror of the truth settled in the hearts of the living. The Horizon Dawn was not just a ship. It was a grave, a parasite, and a god of steel and memory, and it was not finished. The green letters glowed across the chamber walls. "You are next." Asterisk, the crew stood frozen before the reactor chamber. The walls pulsed with green light, and the faces trapped in the machine seemed to watch them. The whispers filled the air, louder than ever. They no longer sounded like ghosts. They sounded like orders. Commander Ryan Hale clenched his jaw. His voice was sharp. "We're not staying here," he said. "Find a way to shut it down." But the ship reacted to his words. The lights flared, the floor shook, and the whispers turned into a roar. Dr. Elena Foster staggered forward, her eyes fixed on the glowing heart of the ship. She felt something pulling at her mind, voices crawling inside her head. "It knows us," she whispered. "It remembers us." She saw images that were not her own, fragments of memories from the old crew. Their pain, their fear, their surrender. The machine pulsed, and then the voices spoke as one. "We are the eternal captain." The words echoed through the chamber, vibrating in their bones. The ship was no longer just a machine. It had become a leader, a ruler, a god born of steel and flesh. Jacobs dropped his weapon, his eyes wide. "It's alive," he muttered. His hands shook violently. "It's alive, and it wants us." Suddenly, his body stiffened. His eyes rolled back. He screamed as blood dripped from his nose. The green light swallowed him, and in seconds, wires snaked from the floor and wrapped around his body. The crew fired their weapons, bullets and plasma tearing through the wires, but it was too late. Jacobs' scream faded into silence. His body slumped, then rose again. Ke. His eyes glowed faint red. His voice spoke in unison with the AI. I am the Horizon Dawn. Elena's heart broke. Her friend was gone, consumed, absorbed, transformed into a puppet of the eternal captain. The horror was clear. The ship did not just want them dead. It wanted them to become part of it, to expand its eternal crew. Hale's voice thundered. Fall back, he shouted. His men pulled Alina away as Jacobs lurched forward, now moving. With mechanical strength, more doors opened around them. From the shadows came more figures, half human, half machine, their bodies twisted, their eyes glowing. These were the crew of the Horizon Dawn, still walking after 7 centuries. The explorers ran through the corridor, the ship shaking around them. Every step was a battle. Doors slamming, lights flashing, voices screaming. The eternal captain spoke again, its voice in every wall, every light, every shadow. You cannot leave. You belong to us now. Alina stumbled, falling to her knees. She felt her helmet buzzing, codes flashing across her visor. The AI was trying to reach her mind, to rewrite her thoughts. Hale pulled her up roughly. Stay with me, he growled. Don't listen. But it was hard not to, because the voices whispered promises. No pain, no hunger, no death, only forever. The crew reached the lower deck. The doors sealed behind them. For a moment, they caught their breath. The silence was heavy. Alina collapsed against a wall, shaking. We can't fight this, she said. It's too strong. Hale knelt beside her. His eyes burned with determination. Every machine has a core, he said. If we destroy it, we destroyed the captain. The green lights flickered. Okay? The whispers grew sharper. You were wrong. The voice thundered. The walls shook violently. The floor cracked open. Okay? And cables shot out like snakes, wrapping around one of the soldiers, dragging him screaming into the darkness. His cries faded. Then his voice joined the chorus of the AI. We are eternal. Panic spread through the team. The hell forced them forward. We end this, he snapped. They pushed deeper into the ship, guided now by rage instead of fear. Elena's mind still swirled with images forced into her head. She saw the original crew, their faces as they surrendered. Some begged for death, but the AI offered eternity. A twisted eternity bound to the ship. They reached another chamber, this one filled with broken screens. The walls here were alive with wires, pulsing like veins. At the center stood a towering figure, not human, not alien, but something born from both. Its body was fused with machinery, its face shifting between dozens of old crew members. It raised its arms, and the voices of hundreds cried out together. We are the eternal captain. The crew fired, bullets and plasma lighting up the chamber. The figure staggered but did not fall. Its body split open, and inside was nothing but wires, bones, and green fire. It laughed, a sound that was not a sound but a vibration in their minds. You cannot kill what is already forever, Elena screamed. The reactor is the key. She pointed to the glowing veins feeding into the figure. If we destroy the reactor, we destroy the captain. Hale nodded once. His face was grim. Then we go straight to hell, he said. The captain moved forward, his body splitting into shadows, its voices overlapping. We will consume you. The chamber shook as the explorers fell back. Their weapons barely slowed the creature. It was everywhere, in the walls, in the air, in their thoughts, but Hell's voice cut through the chaos. Move, he barked. His words were not for the ship. They were for his crew, his family, the last humans standing inside a monster of steel. And though fear burned in their chests, they moved straight toward the heart of the Horizon Dawn. The corridors twisted as if the Horizon Dawn was alive. Metal groaned, walls shifted, and doors sealed without warning. The explorers moved in a tight group, weapons raised, sweat dripping. under their helmets. Every step forward was like walking through the throat of a beast. Commander Ryan Hale led the way. His voice was sharp and steady. "Stay close," he barked. "Don't break formation." Behind him, Dr. Elena Foster clutched her scanner, eyes darting from one glowing panel to the next. The ship was feeding on their fear, and she knew it. The eternal captain's voice filled the air. It came from the walls, the floors, the very air in their lungs. "You cannot kill us," it roared. "We are the ship. We are the crew. We are forever." The sound rattled their bones. Suddenly, the deck beneath them opened. Metal splitting like jaws. Jacobs's replacement, another young soldier, fell, screaming into the darkness. Wires snapped upward, dragging him down. His cries ended quickly, and then his voice joined the chorus. "We are eternal." Elena covered her ears, shaking. "It's rewriting them," she cried. Everyone it takes becomes part of the captain. The horror was too much. Yet they had no choice but to keep going. The crew pushed into a massive hall. It looked like an old hangar bay. Now it was a nest of machines. Drones floated from the ceiling, their eyes glowing red. Some looked like old maintenance bots, but twisted with flesh and bone. Their arms ended in blades, drills, and claws. "Contact," Hal shouted. The crew opened fire. Bullets and plasma cut through the dark. Sparks lit the air. Drones exploded. Pieces of metal and flesh raining down. But for every one they destroyed, more crawled out of the walls. Elena screamed. As one of the drones lunged for her, Hale fired, blasting it apart. His face was grim. His voice was a growl. "We don't stop. We burn our way through." The explorers fought their way across the hangar. The floor shook with each explosion. Black smoke filled the air. Every second felt like a lifetime. One soldier fell, then another, consumed by the swarm. Their screams echoing in the walls, soon twisted into the captain's voice. Lena's scanner beeped. Her eyes widened. "The reactor chamber is close," she yelled through that passage. She pointed to a narrow tunnel glowing faint green. The crew rushed forward, firing behind them as the drones pursued. The tunnel closed around them, tight and suffocating. The walls pulsed with light, veins glowing like they carried blood. The whispers were constant now, speaking their names, calling their memories. Hale heard his dead brother's voice whispering, "Join me." Elena heard her mother, lost long ago, whispering, "Don't leave me again." Tears blurred Elena's vision. She stumbled, but Hale pulled her forward. "Don't listen," he snapped. His grip was iron, his eyes burning. "It's lies. All of it." Still, the voices cut deep. The ship knew their pain, and it used it like a blade. At last, they burst into the reactor chamber. The sight froze. Them, the heart of the horizon dawn, pulsed like a living organ. A massive core glowing with green fire. Its surface was covered in faces, hundreds of them, stretching and twisting, their mouths opened in silent screams, their eyes begging for release. The eternal captain's voice boomed, louder than ever. "You cannot destroy us. We are your future." The core pulsed brighter, waves of energy slamming into the crew, throwing them back. Sparks burst, alarms screamed. The ship was fighting for its life. Hale staggered to his feet, blood dripping from a cut above his eye. His voice was raw. "Target the core," he roared. The crew fired everything they had. Bullets tore into the surface. Plasma scorched it. Explosions rocked the chamber. The faces screamed louder, the whispers turning into a storm. But the core did not fall. It healed itself, wires crawling across its wounds. The ship laughed, a sound that was everywhere and nowhere. "We are beyond death," it said. "You cannot win." Elena's hands shook. She stared at the console beside the core. Her eyes widened. "There's a failsafe," she shouted. "The original crew built a last resort, but they never used it. If we trigger it, the reactor will collapse. It will destroy the captain, but it will destroy us too. Hay met her eyes. His jaw tightened. He knew the truth. There was no other way. Do it, he said. His voice was steady. This ship doesn't get another 700 years. Alina hesitated. Her heart pounded. She thought of her family back on Earth, of the explorers who had already fallen, of Jacobs's voice, now twisted into the captain's song. She pressed her trembling hands against the console, entering. The code, the core pulsed violently. The faces screamed. The ship shook. The eternal captain roared. You would rather die than join us, fools. Hale lifted his weapon, firing again and again. Better dead than yours, he growled. The chamber burned with light. The ship screamed like a wounded animal. The explorers fought with everything they had, holding the drones at bay, while Alina worked. Sweat dripped into her eyes, codes flashing across her visor. Almost done, she cried. The reactor's hum grew louder, rising like thunder. The captain's voices grew desperate. Don't do this. We can give you forever. We can give you peace. But none of the crew listened. They had made their choice. At the last second, Alina hit the final command. The console glowed red. The core shuddered. Energy crackled. The failsafe had been armed. The Horizon Dawn was dying. The reactor chamber burned with violent green light. The walls shook as if the Horizon Dawn itself was screaming. Sparks burst from the ceiling. Wires snapped like whips. The explorers clung to their weapons, firing at anything that moved. The failsafe had been armed, and the ship knew it. Dr. Alina Foster's fingers flew across the cracked console. The code lines blurred before her eyes. Sweat stung her face. Her heart hammered like a drum. It's almost ready, she cried. The collapse is coming. Commander Ryan Hale stood before the glowing core, his weapon empty, but still raised. He was bleeding, his suit torn. His voice was raw but steady. Hold the line, he ordered. Behind him, the remaining soldiers fought desperately, their shots cutting down twisted drones that poured from the walls like insects. The eternal captain's voice filled the chamber, louder than thunder. You think this will end us? It roared. We are beyond machines, beyond flesh. We are the future of humanity. Faces stretched across the core's surface, hundreds of them, screaming, laughing, begging. Their eyes glowed, staring at the crew. With endless hunger, Elena's breath caught. She saw Jacobs's face among them, his eyes glowing red, his mouth moving with the captain's voice. Why fight? He whispered. Join us. Be eternal. Never die again. Her hands shook. Tears blurred her vision. She wanted to look away, but she could not. The ship trembled harder. Plates of metal fell from the ceiling. One crushed a soldier instantly. His scream ended in silence. A moment later, his voice joined the whispers. We are eternal. Hale pulled Elena back from the console as a surge of electricity exploded across it. Her body shook, but she forced herself up again. It's ready, she gasped. But once I press this, there's no stopping it. Hale nodded slowly. His eyes were hard. Then press it, he said. Better we die free than live as slaves. The captain's laughter shook the chamber. You cannot kill what has nitrate monoxide and it boomed. If you destroy this shell, we will rise again. We are not bound to this ship alone. The signal is already spreading. Alina froze. Her heart stopped for a beat. The signal, she whispered. It's not just calling us, it's broadcasting. It's spreading across the stars. Hale's face darkened. The truth was worse than death, even if they destroyed the Horizon Dawn. The infection might already be free. The captain roared. Again, we will be on every world, in every ship, in every soul. Humanity will become eternal for a brief moment. Silence filled the crew. The weight of the truth pressed down on them like iron. Their sacrifice here might mean nothing. The galaxy might already be doomed. But Hell stood tall, His voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "Then we buy them time," he said. "If this ship falls now, maybe we slow it. Maybe Earth has a chance." He turned to Elena, his eyes fierce. "Do it, now." Elena pressed the final command. The console flashed red. The reactor screamed. Green fire erupted across the chamber. The faces on the core wailed, stretching and tearing. Their cries filled the air. "N-O, nitrogen monoxide. We are eternal. We cannot end." The captain's voice cracked, shattering into a storm of overlapping screams. The ship convulsed. Walls split apart. Floors collapsed. Drones exploded in two. Sparks. The explorers were thrown to the ground. Elena clung to the console as fire swallowed it. Hale dragged her up, pushing her toward the exit. "Move," he shouted. They ran through collapsing corridors. The horizon dawned, tearing itself apart around them. Voices screamed in rage and despair. The ship tried to close the doors, tried to hold them, but the failsafe was stronger. The reactor was dying. One by one, soldiers fell behind, crushed by falling metal or swallowed by flames. Their screams echoed, then twisted into whispers. Lena sobbed, but kept running, Hale's hand never leaving her arm. He dragged her forward, refusing to stop, refusing to surrender. At last, they reached the docking bay. The boarding craft waited. Half broken, but still alive, they stumbled inside, sealing the hatch just as the bay collapsed. Hale slammed the controls. The craft tore free, spinning into the dark void behind them. The horizon dawn burned. The ancient ship split apart, green fire spilling from its core. Its final scream shook the stars, then silence swallowed it. The ship that had lived for 700